Hi, it's Colin McClelland, Editor-in-Chief of the Northern Miner. I'm in London at the International Metals Symposium. I'm joined by Ontario Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth, George Pirie. Welcome, Mr. Pirie. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. I'm glad you invited me here.
It's great to see you. You know, we're riding this time in Ontario and in Canada and the world. We're riding a time where mining is just at the tip of everybody's tongue. It's a great era to be in mining. And in Ontario, there's a lot of exciting projects in the north happening. Detour Lake, Agnico Eagle. You were talking about that earlier, just before we went on camera. How exciting is that?
It's unbelievable. You take a look at the gold sector. I mean, I worked at Detour Lake when I was at Placer Dome, and I remember that fateful Wednesday when the price of gold was $238 an ounce. And boy, we didn't know what type of industry we were. So when you have the prices of gold that we have right now, the fact that Detour Lake is mining 80,000 tons a day of ore, 160,000 tons if you of course if you talk about material moved with waste, half gram deposit on a free cash flow basis. Right now they're generating $2 billion a year with one mine. It's very, very exciting times for all the gold miners.
And so that's not just the gold miners, too, that are doing well. There's a lot of other activity where we're talking a lot about Ring of Fire these days. There's other critical minerals. What about selenium? That's another.
Selenium is, again, it's just a great story. We've got that, if you can believe it. When I was on the board of directors with Lithium Americas, we're scouring the world looking for it. It's very rare, and the individuals that are coming in and they're reprocessing the old agrium deposit, the phosphate, and they have selenium in the waste. Scandium, I should say, not selenium, but scandium is in that waste. It's and the world needs all of these things. They don't. Canada has them. Northern Ontario has them. The U.S. doesn't have them, and we have them. In fact, when we talk about critical minerals and rare earths, and that's the real leverage that we have with Trump as he imposes his tariffs against the world. We have what they need, and that's the lever we're going to have with in dealing with Trump.
That's fantastic. Now, with all these projects doing pretty well, the high price of gold and everything poses it's a good situation for some of the northern communities that can benefit. Tell me about some of the projects you're doing through the ministry there for northern communities.
Well, you take a look at, Frontier Lithium is really, that'll cause a great boom, and it's happening right now in the lithium space in Thunder Bay.
Right.
Because you'll have lithium hydroxide plants that are going to be built there. There's a cluster of lithium deposits in northwestern Ontario, and the amount of money that you're talking about putting back into those communities is pretty special. That whole corridor around Greenstone, and of course Ross's mine is doing very well on the
Ross Beatty
and
the Equinox.
Gold space. Equinox is doing very well. And really it's the Ontario government that's really started off that boom in the critical in the Ring of Fire. It was our premier that said, "Hey, look, we're putting $1 billion into this," and it kind of kickstarted activity in that area. Juno's got a large land position there, and really and truly, I think they've found every single critical mineral that there is there. Yeah, it's exciting times.
It's good. And so this is the time of year when you think maybe about ice roads and winter roads for the north, and there's programs, I guess, to help get those established.
Yeah, that's part of our ministry right now. But I mean, with my ministry, I'm from the Manitoba border to Quebec. We're in Fort Albany a couple of times over the summer, talking about the port in James Bay, and exciting. Is their idea, their community's idea. And they want to build a permanent road from Attawapskat to Saskatchewan down to Fort Albany to Moosonee down to Fraservale, which it connects to Highway 11 in Timmins. Their idea. And they want to call it the Treaty 9 Highway. And Attawapskat's on the same latitude as the Ring of Fire. And I mean, they already have power there. It was the Five Nations Energy that built that transmission line through there. 100% owned, designed, and financed by the Indigenous communities. Five Nations Energy. Phenomenal story. So we got power on one side, we got the power over in Musselwhite. I mean, we built that mine and road. So you've got power on both the east and west, and it does. You don't have to imagine too hard to think about an east-west corridor across there. Yeah.
Now you're very well suited to this ministry, former head of Placer Dome, and you had some experience working there with Indigenous communities, bringing them into the mining operations, at least on a partial basis.
Yeah, I mean that was Placer Dome Canada I was head of. I was a VP of Placer Dome Inc., but certainly President and CEO of Placer Dome Canada.
Yeah.
So you had we had some excellent leadership there when we built Musselwhite, and Jim Cooney and Colin Seeley were the individuals that led the charge there. It was a progressive, enlightened agreement with five communities in that area. We just had an announcement that not long ago, right in the ledge, and where the Indigenous community was talking about that deal. Said, okay, if it's a good as deal as Musselwhite. When I was president of Placer Dome Canada, we elevated it to a revenue sharing agreement. And when you increase the standard of living in the Indigenous communities, it's a tremendous boon to those communities, to the health of the communities, to the kids that live there.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty special thing to do that you can accomplish by doing the right agreements with the Indigenous communities. TTN has done a great job with Canada Nickel right here in Timmins, and a number of companies have done great jobs in elevating the standard of living with the Indigenous communities.
So as we wrap up, why don't you give me your 30-second elevator pitch for why Northern Ontario is the place to be?
Hey, look, we've got what the world needs: educated workforce. We've got universities and colleges. In fact, we keep finding stuff. We keep finding new deposits, whether it's 20 miles west of Otter Rapids or anywhere else. We've been at it for a number of years, over a century, and as a mining guy, I know that in the past we made every mistake you could do, and that's what makes us the best right now. We've corrected those mistakes. Our discharge water is cleaner than the intake water. We've got the environmental standards. We've got the labor standards. We've got the workforce. We have the motivation, desire, and ability to execute on this vision.
George Pirie, Minister for Northern Economic Development and Growth in Ontario. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Colin McClelland at the International Metal Symposium in London. Thanks very much.